What's going on? This is Jeremy from Rockstar Youth Ministry, where we train youth pastors to lead youth well so they can rock on. One of the big things about being a rockstar youth pastor is you have the ability to critically think and be able to process and synthesize anything that's coming at you so you can process and make a decision and a plan and a strategy to act very fastly. And the one thing of many that can train you to do that is pursuing theological education. So the question is, should a youth pastor really pursue a theological education? And my question is yes. Now, I don't really care how you get educated. You can go online, go on Amazon and buy 1,000 books. You can go get a master's. I really don't care. But what I do care about is that you take theology very seriously. Now, I know in the youth ministry market and youth ministry game, you have all these speakers and individuals, pushing and selling us a bunch of stuff, products, resources, curriculum, strategies. And it's important, it's all good stuff, no problem there, right? But the push is, there's not a push for, okay, what do you really believe? No, they're telling us what we need to believe. So having a theological education, which isn't really a sexy sell, it's really hard to sell education nowadays because everything we have to go, do. So to stop and think critically is kind of a contrast value. So one of my favorite church planners always said, the qualification of a youth pastor is to have a mind of a scholar, a heart of a child, and a hide of a rhinoceros. Meaning you have to have a thick skin, you have to have this passion, wonder, excitement, discipline to do ministry, but you also have to have a mind. You got to have a mind intellectually where you can process and move very fast up here on what you think about how to do ministry and theologically. Henry Nouwen, another of my favorite influences in his thoughts on Christian leadership, said theological education and reflection quiets the ego. It helps burn away all those narcissistic ideas that we think are all about us in our ministries. And R.C. Sproul says everyone needs to be a theologian, so let's do it. Here's what thinking theologically can really do for a youth pastor. One, thinking theologically allows other people to start taking us more seriously. Tony Campolo in the early 2000s, he would always make fun of youth pastors not being professional enough, which was a very valid critique. We still are in some ways placate to that stereotype. We just tell jokes and know how to play games and pizza. And there's some that still really play to that stereo. I don't. I'd rather be like, listen, I'm an educated professional individual. I've chosen to be here. So having a theological reflection and education is going to seep through how you lead your ministry, how you communicate or preach or teach, and how you begin to design your ministry in terms of its methodology and its strategy. And there's just this very cool thing. I can't really describe it. When you begin to taste theology and you begin to process and reflect, there's just a way that you begin to carry yourself, and you begin to really you think before you act, essentially is what I'm getting to the point there. Is when you begin to think theologically, you begin to slowly move and ask the question of how God is moving and what are the scriptures really saying about this. Chap Clark was one that really injected this in me, of being a youth minister that can think theologically, because then others are going to take you more serious. That means parents, students, your staff, your leadership, other youth pastors. There is a big value to that. So one, when you begin to start thinking theologically, others are going to start taking you serious. Two, When you start thinking theologically, your theology starts to inform your strategy and methodology. So when you start to look and pray and read through the scriptures, there's going to be scriptures and passages that really begin to really kind of bubble on you and kind of start to kind of get you feeling good. And those are going to be the anchoring as you pave the way for why and what you do youth ministry. And that to me is so fun because that requires critical thinking. I can't tell you what strategy to do. I can give you a whole bunch of ideas, sure. But you know what God's doing right there in your context, and you got the scriptures, and you read through that, and you pray through that, and that's where the intersection happens, and that's where amazing ministry happens. There's a lot of things out there, right? They want you to just take it and plug it in, use their system. And yes, it's good, but it's not contextual. It doesn't have the flavor of your culture, of your context and of your critical thinking, because God has put you there with those two eyes to look, observe, to pray and think, and then to do the youth ministry you think is the best moving into that direction. So friends, youth pastors, let's begin and let's continue to keep taking theology seriously, and let's just see what can happen, because being a rock star youth pastor, it means we have to begin and continue to think and to reflect daily, weekly, quarterly,